Testing. Check, check. Ben, are you there?
So right now I'm just seeing landscape. Oh, there we go. Come on. Ooh, there we go. Oh. Shoot.
No, I didn't. It's not a proper Zoom etiquette. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
PG&E is on.
Person's name.
Erica? Landsberg. It's chair. You can just say chair.
Chair,
Yeah,
just wanted to do a quick microphone check. We can hear you.
great.
Thank you.
I don't
Thank you.
know if the other three callers are commissioners or not. Because it shows just a phone number. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're looking for Commissioner Rich Creek.
She's trying to get on right now. I got a text message.
All we have is Ben and Kelly calling in.
Ben Bramer's here. Hummus is here. So I also need Commissioner Payne. Bells is going to be absent. Commissioner, never say his last name. Bodden. Say it wrong all the time. Bodden.
You want to give it a minute, Ellen? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chair, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Why don't we go ahead and get started?
okay. Afternoon, everybody. We'll start the meeting and then start with roll call.
Okay, roll call. Commissioner Bramer,
Here.
Commissioner Rich Creek,
Oop,
Commissioner Rich Creek, Commissioner Payne, Commissioner Bodden,
Here.
Commissioner Hummus. Here. Vice Chair Belza is absent. Chair Deal.
Here?
Just want to try one more time for Commissioner Rich Creek. It looks like somebody's trying to talk. Commissioner Payne. Yes, we do. We still have a quorum. Chair, we do still have a quorum at this time if you want to move forward.
Okay, we'll move ahead with the meeting. Ben, would you do the honors of doing the Pledge of Allegiance? Or leading us in it?
Pledge allegiance
Of the flag of the United States of America. To the republic.
Republic for which it stands,
Yeah.
one nation,
Under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So first order, I'd like to introduce the new planning commissioner, Beth Hames. And if you don't mind, just introduce yourself, give us a little background, and welcome to the planning commission.
Thank you. My name is Beth Hummus,
Oh, sorry.
and that's okay. I was born and raised in Marysville. I've been around here for a long time. I currently work as a training coordinator for the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union. I do all the training certification for the apprentices and the journeymen. I enjoy my job. I enjoy the community I live in, and I have a lot of time to put into seeing everything get better in this area. So that's why I'm here. Thank
Great.
you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
So the next item, I'd just like to say that citizens addressing the commission, they may address the planning commission on any item on the agenda when the item is considered. Citizens wishing to speak may request recognition by, and Alan, you can correct me, but raising the hand on the Zoom meeting. And then the providing officer will open the floor. And then you'll have, if time goes over time, we'll limit it to 3 minutes, but I think it'll be fine. But next item on the agenda will be the consent for the approval of the minutes from March 8th. Are there any commissioner comments or? All right, hearing none. That would take a vote on the March 8th minutes.
I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Ellen, should we take a vote?
Yes.
So all-
Commissioner. Yes. Yeah, roll call vote. Commissioner Bramer,
Aye.
Commissioner Rich Creek. Sounded like Commissioner Payne. Commissioner Payne.
Who made the second?
can I ask who seconded that motion, please? Because I thought it was Commissioner Payne.
It was I.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that. Okay, so Commissioner Voden,
Aye.
Commissioner Hummus, Chair Deal.
Aye.
You.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move to item 6 on the agenda for architectural review. It's the Pacific Gas and Electric fencing, and I'll let staff provide a report.
Good evening, Chair. Good evening, Planning Commission members. Jonathan Wright, Community Development Director. Before you this evening is a request for architectural review from Pacific Gas and Electric. The applicant is requesting, due to the nature of the business in their area, the materials and equipment that they store on site, vehicles and so forth, within the 3 properties. I want to note for the record, there are 3 properties that this applies to. There's been a history of theft and vandalism at the sites. They currently have an existing 6-foot chain link fence, which is insufficient for their security. So PG&E is seeking to propose a higher fence to help deter criminal activity and increase the aesthetics of their property. Therefore, the applicant's requesting to replace the existing site perimeter chain link fence and gate with a 10-foot wrought iron fence and gates. The exhibits contained in your packet identify the area in which the fence will be located, the composition of the fence, which is black wrought iron, and location of gates and so forth. We also, Chair, I'd like to note, we have a member of PG&E on the line in case any member of the Planning Commission has questions about the application. This concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Director Wright. I'd like to ask if PG&E would like to speak on the issue ahead of time. Okay. Well, I'll go around the room and see if any commissioners have any comments, questions. Ben, our Commissioner Bramer, you have any comments, questions, concerns?
Yeah, I have a quick question, just to confirm, it's black, the fence is gonna be black colored?
That is correct. The fence will be black.
All right. And then one other quick question for staff. You're bringing this together as the Architectural Review Board. Isn't that a separate committee?
The Architectural Review Board is 3 members of the Planning Commission that are voted on at the first meeting of the year. Unfortunately, due to staff time, it's difficult to get those things scheduled for separate meetings. So we are using the Planning Commission in their capacity as the review board to make these decisions, which is also authorized.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramer. Commissioner Helms? I'll get better.
I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Voden?
I don't have any questions. It's just other than to say that it's looks like it will definitely be more aesthetically pleasing, and if it's going to improve security also, that's fine with me.
Okay, thank you. Do we have someone from PG&E? Looks like someone's trying to say something. Okay. I did have a comment. There's 3 different locations. So if any of the commissioners wanted to speak about any of the locations separately, or we can likely either vote on all of them or just one at a time if we want to discuss them. And I had the same concern with the color that Commissioner Bramer had. So it's good to hear that it'll be a standard color. I'd like to open the floor to the PG&E. It looks like someone was trying to speak up, so maybe I can open it to them.
My name is Yannick. I'm with Blair Church and Flynn. We're the designing firm working for the PG&E. We're the people that prepared the package. I'm not sure if there's any specific question for the PG&E. I know Andrew Suzo, he's on the line. He's from PG&E. But if there's a specific question, we can definitely answer. I'm not sure if Andrew's having issues with his microphone right now.
Okay, thank you.
Or I have a quick question. This is Commissioner Bramer. Probably specifically for PG&E themselves. On the first map, the existing sites where it shows all 3 sites all together, down on the where you make the turn, you know, to go towards the railroad. I don't know what street that is, but it's the quick turn. And there's right below it, there's that open yard. Is that PG&E property or is that city property? It's kind of right there between the service yard. It's the north end of the service yard, down northeast, I guess. It runs right along the levee.
Is that on 6th Street?
Yeah, it seems like it's on 6th and Yuba Street.
Yeah. It's that open yard. You know, I don't know if PG&E uses it or if it's their property or. You know, Jonathan? But I was thinking, because, you know, when you go by it right now, there's a lot of tread going up the levee where you can see where 4-wheel drives are making an off-road going up the levee. And if there's anything, if it's PG&E property, if there's anything you can do to kind of detour that.
Yeah, I would agree, Commissioner Bramer, that if it was their property, it'd be nice to have some kind of coverage there.
Yeah, that's if it's PG&E property. I'd like to see extended out, you know, at least for that part. You know what
Yeah, Commissioner Bramer, this is Jonathan, Community Development. We actually looked at that recently. That is in private ownership. I don't believe it's in PG&E. I cannot recall right now who owns it. But that issue just got brought up recently, and there actually is an individual that owns that outside of the levee district. So I couldn't tell you who right now.
All right, thank you for confirming. No, I have no other questions or concerns.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramer. Director Wright, I do have another question. Have you received any comments from the neighbors, or is PG&E, maybe they can answer it? Comments, concerns from anyone?
As of the writing of the staff report, actually as of tonight, no, we have not received any comments whatsoever.
Okay, thank you. It's open to the public for public comment if there's any. Okay. Hearing none, it will be open to a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right.
So for the record, that was a motion made, an initial motion made by Bramer, second by Vodden.
Okay, so shall we take a vote on the item number 4, Pacific Gas and Electric fence located at 101 3rd Street, 29 4th Street, and 98 7th Street?
Chair, do you want to have Ellen do a roll call vote?
Yeah, I think that'd be best.
Commissioner Bramer,
Aye.
Commissioner Rich Creek, I'm just going to keep just in case she gets on.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay,
Aye. Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Payne? Commissioner Bowden?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Vice Chair Belza is absent. Chair Deal?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next item is public hearing. A moment here. Make sure I get my. Bear with me. Okay, so the next two items actually are, let me read the subject lines for you guys.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
There'll be two items: public hearing to repeal and replace Chapter 18.86 of Title 18 in the Marysville Municipal Code Landscape Regulations. And the second item will be a public hearing to review and make a recommendation to the Marysville City Council regarding the proposed amendment to remove the 500-foot spacing requirement for service stations. So would any commissioner at this time like to disclose any conflicts of interest, site visits, biases, or ex parte contacts related to tonight's hearing? Please let it be known now. Okay, not hearing none, we'll move to the next item. Would any member of the public like to challenge the ability of any commission member to hear this matter on the basis of conflicts of interest, site visits, bias, or ex parte contacts? May you let it be known now. Okay, hearing none. For tonight's legislature hearing, the Marysville Planning Commission takes note of the rules and laws of the state of California, the Marysville General Plan, and the Marysville Municipal Code. The conduct of tonight's hearing will go as follows. First, we will hear a staff report provided by the community development staff. And then we will receive testimony from the applicant. Next, we'll receive public comment. If you would like to give public comment, please raise your hand in the Zoom and wait until you are announced by planning staff. Once it's your turn, please start by providing your name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to those comments not already presented by other members of the public. If you agree with the previous comment, simply reference the person's testimony during the testimony. And then lastly, we'll close the public portion of the hearing and deliberate to a decision, excuse me. So I'd like to start with the first step, which we mentioned is hearing the staff report for item A, which is the public hearing to repeal and replace Chapter 18.86 of Title 18. Director Wright, do you mind, or whoever you may assign?
Nope, I got it. Thank you, Chairman. Good evening again, Planning Commission members, Jonathan Wright, Community Development. So what you have before you is a proposal by staff to amend the landscaping regulations. I want to note for the record that the subject item says to repeal and replace. We have supplemented the record, and most planning commissioners should have this either via email or in their hand right now. We took out a bunch of the verbiage and actually made it that we're just amending the current landscape regulations. It was deemed by staff that the regulations we proposed initially were too cumbersome for staff as well as too complex for the public to understand. Now, these rules are required by state law. However, they only apply in the situation of new landscape areas of 500 square feet or larger, or rehabilitation of landscape 2,500 square feet or larger. So the rules of the city would still apply up until those thresholds. After that, then the state standards would apply. The city will have applications generated that the person can apply if it's one of the next threshold applications that are required. So instead of reviewing within your initial staff report, I would like you to review the one-page handout that specifically is titled 18.86 18.070 water conservation. It proposes to amend this section with a statement that says, unless otherwise specified in 18.86.075, which is a new section to be created. 18.86.075 is newly titled Water Efficient Landscape Standards and states, projects with new landscape areas of 500 square feet or larger in size, or projects to rehabilitate landscape areas of 2,500 square feet or larger, shall demonstrate compliance with state water efficiency standards by complying with the following. Model water efficiency landscape ordinance method. Projects using this method shall submit a landscape documentation package demonstrating compliance with the revised state model water efficiency landscape ordinance known as MWELO. Project improvements shall be installed and maintained in compliance with an approved landscape documentation package. The revised state model water efficiency landscape ordinance is hereby incorporated by reference and shall be used for the administration of this chapter. Therefore, instead of adopting all those code provisions, we are going to refer them to the actual state document, which is the state model code, very similar to what was proposed in our initial packet. But that way, those smaller parcels in town that only have minor landscaping upgrades or some of the smaller commercial property work that we do, they would still fall under current code and would not have to go through the state required process. So at this time, I would like to note for the record that staff is proposing to amend that instead of adding the code provisions, adopting a reference section within our existing code. The background for this is in order to protect the state's limited water resources and to increase water conservation in landscaping, the State Assembly passed Bill 1881 in 2006. As you can tell, we're a little behind the times. In response to that bill, the Department of Water Resources adopted the state's model efficiency landscape ordinance. In 2015, the ordinance was updated by Governor Jerry Brown to further promote water conservation efforts and increase landscape irrigation efficiency. The MWELO reduces landscape-related water use by promoting water-efficient landscapes, limiting turf, preventing water or wastewater, and incentivizing the use of gray water and recycled water in new construction and rehabilitation projects. Cities are required to update their landscape codes to comply. This is our effort to update our code. Chairman, this concludes our staff report.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Director Wright. I'd like to open it up for discussion. I can go around the room. Commissioner Bramer, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I do. Appreciate that you cut it down to one page. I was going to make the recommendation because I'm assuming that the original wording was verbatim off the state, and I was going to kind of try to steer you to go with our own, because if there's changes in the state requirements, how are we going to keep it updated, based off of comparing each one? So it's a good idea just to kind of put in ours is per the MWELO requirements instead of trying to go verbatim. So appreciate the shortening of it. And I think I only have one other recommendation with the 18.86075. With me, writing, I just go with that first paragraph with state water efficiency standards by complying with take out the A, bring it all up. Since you only have the A, you don't have a B, we're only going to comply with the one. And then I was even thinking, get more specific on the model water efficiency landscape ordinance method and specify the state of California DWR, kind of in case there's another one out there, at least we're signifying that we're following DWR's model, not someone else's. Kind of to keep it clarified. Other than that, I have no other comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Bremer. Commissioner Thomas, do you have any comments, questions, concerns?
No.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bowden?
Yeah, was this a later addition to the agenda because it's not listed on my copy of the agenda?
It was emailed later this afternoon to each of you.
No, I know that document was, but this item is not listed on my agenda. Under number 6, public hearing, it only lists the service station item.
I'm not sure because you all got the same email, so.
I did see that as well. It is on the board docs agenda, but I didn't see it on the attached agenda. So I think they may be different.
I think when the original one was sent out, you just had the one item under 7. And then when you got this, the one that's posted is correct, right? It has 7A and B to the public.
Commissioner Bowden, did you have an opportunity to review it?
Not to the extent that I want, so I will be abstaining.
Okay. Commissioner Rich Creek, did you?
Yeah, I have comments. I did get to review it. I think it is a good idea to shorten it, and I think it's a very reasonable and logical thing to do. And we're supporting the California efforts for water conservation, which we very much need. And so I am in support of it the way we have it so far.
Okay, thank you. And then my only comment is I appreciate Director Wright trying to keep it consistent, and need to find regulations we can just follow the states instead of kind of cluttering up our regulations. I'd like to open it up for public comment. So if you wish to comment, please raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none?
No.
Any further discussion by the commissioners? Okay. Is there applicant? No applicant, so we just move on to the next. Any motion?
I'll motion with the comments of my revisions to the ordinance.
Which I'd like to note again, just to clarify, that was to delete the letter A from the beginning of model water efficiency, and to apply the State of California Department of Water Resources after the ordinance, between ordinance and method.
Let me get the copy in front of me while you're saying that so I can follow that, please. I just got to find that email.
Yeah, so I would recommend right there where A was, just
I don't have it yet.
specify State of California Department of Water
Oh,
Resources.
at the beginning,
right there.
gotcha.
Yeah. A. Okay, can you repeat that again now that I have the copy in front of me?
So we'll be deleting the A on the second paragraph at the beginning, and because there is no B or any other numbering system there, so deleting A and then replacing that with State of California, or State of California Department of Water Resources. That'll then tie into that sentence as State of California Department of Water Resources Model Water Efficiency or Efficient Landscape Ordinance Method. Therefore, it's specific to the state of California's.
Okay. Very well. Thank you. So I will second that motion with that amendment.
Okay.
That's
Shall we-
Commissioner Rich Creek.
So shall we take a vote on the item? Reread the addition of the item 18.86.075 water efficient landscaping standards to the code.
Yes, please.
Commissioner Bramer,
Aye.
Commissioner Ridge Creek,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne, just checking to see if he's joined. Commissioner Voden, abstain.
Abstain.
Commissioner Hummus,
Aye.
Chair Belza absent. Chair Deal.
Aye.
So we have 4 yeas and 1 abstain and 2 absent.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, 7B, which is the public hearing to review and make recommendation to the City of Marysville regarding City Council regarding the proposed amendment to remove the 500-foot spacing requirements for service stations. And I'd ask that the staff provide the report.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Good evening, council members. Jonathan Wright, Community Development. So what you have before you is an amendment to specific provisions in our municipal code for service stations. In researching the history, they were all adopted at the same time. No record is clear on why there was a spacing requirement put in for service stations. What we discovered is in reviewing a potential service station request that there was this possible spacing, and in realizing that that has not been consistent with the way these provisions have been carried out with other fuel stations within our city, as well as surrounding properties and communities. We're proposing to make an amendment because it does not change the overall land use pattern in the area and does not materially alter any properties within the city limits. So by deleting that, it would retain the other 2 provisions for service stations, just simply to delete the spacing requirement. Chairman, back to you.
Thank you. Appreciate the report. Is the applicant, which would be, is there any applicants or any public comments? Obviously no applicants yet, but that would like to make a comment? I didn't think so. Okay, because we'll go around the room first. Commissioner Bramer.
Yeah. Thank you for catching this little mishap, I guess. Misquote. But I do have one question for you. It's regarding the definition of a service station. I don't know if we can change that right now or what we do about this, but it's a retail business established supplying motor fuel and oil. So when you put in motor fuel and oil, does that mean like a speedy lube is out of this question? Or should we change it and or motor fuel and or oil to bring in the speedy lubes as is?
At this point, the Planning Commission is capable of making any recommendation on these provisions to the City Council for their consideration. So if that is a recommendation you would like to make, that's entirely appropriate.
Yeah, that's the only recommendation I would consider, because the speedy lubes, you know, in my opinion, are service stations in you know, those quick lubes areas. That's it with me.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramer. Commissioner Hummus.
I have no comment.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Voden, you have any comments, questions, concerns?
Not really. My only question was going to be is if Jonathan had any sense of why that 500 feet spacing was initially included, but you already said there was no indication of that, so I'm good. Sounds like the precedent's already been set, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Voden. Commissioner Rich Creek.
Yeah, I have a few questions. One is, why this came up. And I read the staff report, and it says that we did it in order to keep up with current development trends in the city. So if we have comments as to what those trends are, the way when I read it, I don't think a good reason to take away the spacing of service stations just because the service stations we have in place don't have that spacing. To me, that's not a good enough reason to change it. And then, so that brings me to another question. What is the current spacing? Maybe maybe we have more than one, but say, what's the smallest spacing we have? You might not know that. I don't expect you to know that. And if we want to look to a city to emulate, I think we need to emulate what they do. I mean, to me, the examples brought up isn't necessarily a city. And I did look up, I didn't have enough time to look up a thorough research, but it seems to be a practice to not allow service stations within 500 feet of each other, which I can see because me personally, and I'm open to hearing what other people think, but to me, we have quite a number of service stations. And so my question is, how did this come up? Why did it come up? It just doesn't make sense the way it's written for me. So I will yield to the floor, and then I might have questions after I hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rich Creek. Was that a question to the staff, or was that you're just making a comment?
It would probably be a question to the staff if they know the answer. The question, I can repeat them. How did this come about? How did we come about? That was question one. It says we want to keep up with our current development trends in the city. What are those trends we're looking at? What is the spacing that we do have between our current service? Because it sounded like the reason we were given is, just because they're not 500 feet. I don't think because you have clauses that they call them, they nickname them grandfather clauses. Well, maybe they are okay. They don't have 500 feet, but do we want to allow from now on people to have a gas station right next door to another gas station? It doesn't make sense to me to take it away only because we don't currently have 500 feet. I mean, there's a lot of things we don't currently have, and it's just not a good enough reason. So I'm sorry, go back to the question is, so how did this come up? What is the current trend we're looking at? What is our current development trend? Any other comment? This is a comment, but our city is unusual. We have a really unique city. Of course, we all know that. But if we go with the bounce back plan and we have different areas of the city, maybe there's a particular area we want to lift this restriction. But I really, at this time, I would not be supportive of lifting this restriction from what I see so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rich Creek. Director Wright, do you want to field those questions or?
Absolutely. So in researching a request from a potential applicant for a fuel service station, we came across this requirement. In looking at what common practice we've applied to fuel stations, revealed that the Chevron station by Highway 20 and 70 was about, I think it was 120 feet apart from the quick stop. And that one had been authorized only a matter of few years ago, before my arrival. And so we started looking at, this provision has not been the practice of the city in authorizing fuel stations, not saying it's wrong or right, but that's how it was applied. And then looking at kind of objectively at nearby communities, because when you look at land use patterns, you generally look at the area in which they're applied and not, in other states or farther distances. You're looking at nearby land use patterns to see how these are currently trending. And then you'll look at the back of the staff report there, and up at the top, you'll see we have identified a number of them. I cannot answer Rich Krieg's response or a question about distance, other than I know that the Chevron in Marysville is quite close to the quick stop. I also like to note that of economic significance to the community, the revenues, tax revenues, make up about 25% of our overall sales tax, as well as 25% of our Measure C proceeds. Not that that's a qualifying reason, but it is of significance to the community and the city.
Thank you. Did that answer your questions, Commissioner Rich Creek?
Yes, it did. Thank you. And then I have another comment, but I'll wait to hear from all the commissioners.
Okay, I think I'm the last one. So I did just have probably two questions. One was, I don't believe we have a limit on the number of service stations, although there's obviously a physical limit. And then, so I didn't, if Director Wright, if you know of a limit, or I don't think there is, but, and then also, is there I don't know if there's a requirement for current locations that don't have, they have, you know, I think 7-Eleven used to have a service station there and they took it out. Is that still a potential? So any kind of service convenience store, can they add in? I assume this wouldn't make a difference except unless they were within 500 feet of them. I don't know if that makes sense, the two questions, but that's what I was kind of wondering.
So the question about pre-existing sites. So once the use has been discontinued for longer than 6 months, then under our ordinance, technically that use is no longer authorized to be there. It would then be then you'd have to apply the current standards, which as current would be a 500-foot spacing requirement. The only limitation of how many service stations you could have in town, if that was to be removed, is just based on the zoning, whether the zoning would provide for service stations, which most of our highway zoning does.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Commissioner Rich Creek, do you want to, or Commissioner
Yeah.
Bowden?
Oh, sorry, go.
No,
Yes.
no, that's
No.
okay.
No, I'm finished.
Commissioner Rich Creek?
My comment was, I don't think I shared with you that I did look up, I like Jonathan's point on looking to other communities within California. And I looked up one that's close to us, similar in population, that I think they do a great job of their development, what they've done so far. No one's perfect, but Grass Valley, and they also have a restriction of service stations can't be within 500 feet of one another.
Okay.
That was it. I just wanted to share that. I didn't have time to look up more.
All right, thank you. I'd like to open it up for public comment, if there's any. So if you're on Zoom, and raise your hand. Give it a second here.
I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I'll just give another comment and what Rich Creek said. It seems like it'll be along the corridors. Obviously, if there was a new gas station or new service station, I like the idea of Commissioner Bramer said that the other stations are similar, and if that would be added or not. Seems like we'd be removing the 500 feet, so it actually just benefit everyone that wanted to put a station in. So could see another fueling station somewhere. There's some empty infill development maybe, or maybe an old one that has to reapply. So just a thought. I'm just tossing out my thoughts. Does any other commissioner have any comments, concerns?
Yeah, I have a quick question for staff. So say if a individual wanted to put in a service station it would have to come through the planning commission, right? Because of the environmental impacts or
Because it would be a use permit, correct. So this would be re-reviewed by the planning commission unless it fell within the medical arts district.
Mhm.
Thank you.
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about the medical arts district. There is a service station in there, I believe now, the one off of the Street Bridge. Any other comments, concerns? On Zoom, people's names come up, so I'm not sure if they're trying to talk or not, so I'll give you a second. Okay, any motions? Any discussion?
I'll motion with the revision to add clarification on the definition to add and or supplying motor fuel and or oil.
Thank you, Commissioner Verma. All right.
Does your motion include item C?
Yeah, the remaining
The
has
spacing,
requested
the
by staff.
500 feet? Okay.
Yeah, so that has requested by staff. I'm good with
Okay.
the deletion.
So we don't have a second yet. I'm in favor of changing the wording of that one, but leaving the 500 feet in. I would, but I think we have a motion on the floor, but I don't know if we have a second. So I don't know if Ben wants to amend his motion.
Hearing none.
Yeah, I'm good with as it's being proposed by staff with just the revision to the definition. So I'm good with deleting the item C.
Okay, so we have a motion to add the definition for the different service and then removing the 500-foot distance so that a service station could be within less than that. Not hearing a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Would like to have a discussion on the item or?
Yeah, oh, am I? Yeah, I'm right. Sorry.
It's okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
I
Mr. Rich Creek. Please.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to remind the commission how, like we were so disappointed in getting that car wash in the medical arts district. And we really have to, if we want to change the way Marysville looks, we have to set our standards. And that is why I don't think that taking this 500 feet away is going to move us towards the standards of what we want to see it be. Because we are a small city, we don't need more gas stations. So that's why I'm still opposed to it, but I'll just put that out there for thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rich Creek. I'm going to have to agree with her. When we did the medical arts district, it wasn't meant to be what it seems to be turning into. So I'm not exactly excited about this one, in my opinion. Maybe if it, yeah, it's, so I'm just giving you guys my opinion too. Any other comments, discussion? Okay, hearing none.
Let's discuss this medical arts district. So, when you're looking at that district, where is a vacant spot that a potential service station would go into. You know, you had the one at the corner, you know, right there at the entrance of the bridge. And the rest of it's around surrounding housing. So can you see further down the line, there's a potential where a service station or a Jiffy Lube would go into one of, like an area right there?
Are you throwing it out to a certain person, or you want?
Yeah, just for, you know, the discussions, because, you know, it sounds like that there's.
Yeah, I can comment on that. I think, you know, where the car wash is going, the gas station could probably go next to it. I'm not sure what's going on with the Alibi or the corner across the street from it. You know, when we did the arts district, we were trying to get mixed use, more dense facilities for the hospital and patients and visitors to patients. And we're not seeing that happen. So I don't know if that wasn't the goal when we originally made that district, from what I recall. Maybe I misinterpreted it, but that's my thoughts.
So that was my question, whether, you know, if someone did come in and want to put in a service station, it would automatically go in? That's a question for staff, like without any questions, or?
It exempts it from the use permit requirements. It would not exempt it from the definitions or specific requirements of a service station. So that 500 foot would still apply.
So we probably only get a design review or something like that on that.
We'd get a design review, correct?
Yeah.
Commissioner Brainer brought up something important that I read when I was looking at a couple things, is to consider in our town about the residences, and say just Fifth Street, 1 block over is residences. So that's what, you know, I just wanted to point that up, that there's some towns that have, and I don't see we have it. I was trying to read that while you were going over it. We don't have any restrictions of any feet. You cannot be within so many feet of a residential area. We don't even have that restriction, do we? On ours that I see for a service station. So I wonder if we should add something like that. Would that make someone, like the service station would be able to put a service station, say on the other side of the Veterans Park in the residential area, or the other way, they'd be able to do that. So I'm wondering if we should, anyways, it's just came up when you started talking about that. And when we were discussing the medical arts district, just for the commissioners that weren't here, it was a long discussion about how most of us wanted to see more defined codes. We didn't, like, for instance, we have a lot of like mechanical shops, and the staff at the time and a few people wanted market to decide what goes in there. And I think from the towns that are successful in developing, they define what they want to see in their town and stick to it. And that's how they get this great development going. And so that's all I have. Thank you.
I have a quick question. Would the performance standards apply to a design review of a service station?
The performance standards would be evaluated during the initial ministerial review of the applicant's request. So upon submitting a site plan or building permit to the city staff would be the ones to implement those rules, preventing them from being in those areas or doing something that would conflict with those rules.
So Or go ahead, man.
Well, I was just gonna say, is there a way we could, and I hate the wordsmith stuff, but where it's just along the corridors that this 500 foot would be removed, along the highway corridors and not in other parts of the city? That's something that's possible. I guess I would ask Director Wright.
It's your recommendation. So however you wish to craft that, staff is listening.
Okay.
So Ben, or Commissioner Deal. So I'm going to propose language and kind of, I like the everybody's response off of it. So if we go with the C, the minimum distance between service station sites shall be in 500 feet, keep that, and then just add within medical arts district, or?
Yeah, we could do that, or we could say the minimum distance between service station sites shall be 500 feet unless along California highway corridors or something similar to that. Unless on those lines. I don't know, that one you said, actually, I like that one too, because then it keeps it out of there, or at least makes it so it's not crowded with stations. Now, there may not be a place for put 2 stations within 500 feet within the medical arts district, which I think was what you were trying to mention earlier. So, but if we can at least identify where we want the service locations, it seems like everyone's going to want them on the highways and not really in neighborhoods, although there's 1 or 2 that are kind of in neighborhoods. That's my thoughts.
And I'm like, Jonathan, you're going to hate that I'm saying this because I don't want to make more work for you, but it's like we should take this opportunity to relook at the medical arts district. I mean, this has come up, and I think we're all struggling because we have this lifted the restrictions in the medical art districts, but we're not so sure about that now that we want that. So as the Planning Commission, we can look at that closer, but I'd like to look at it closer without it being a lot of staff time. It's like we all need to reread it, what it actually says, and then possibly redefine it how we want it to look. I know that's not on tonight's agenda, but maybe just hold off on this and think about this and redo it smartly.
So Commissioner Rich Creek, are you asking for this item to be removed, or are you?
Well, no, not necessarily removed. I think that we do need to look at these, you know, we all know that a lot of stuff needs to be updated and changed or made better. And we did bring up at, was it 2 meetings ago, that we wanted to revisit the medical arts district use codes. It's basically just looking at the use codes at the medical arts district, what we're allowing there now.
Yeah.
So I would like to bring that back up and let me hear from the rest of the commissioners, and just for us to look at the use codes again and see if that's really what we want in our medical arts district. I mean, let's start being smart there. And I guess if there's, Jonathan, you're out there doing a lot of economic development. I'd like to get your feedback on that. If you think that's harmful to do that right now. I know you don't really have the time to work on it, but maybe we can read it and just go through the use codes and say, and bring back our list to you and just share it at the next meeting as a, not as anything to vote on, just to have it as a discussion.
Commissioner Rich Creek, I just want to, we have an item on the agenda. I think that is a good idea, and I agree with that, and that'd be great. But we should probably work through this item too. Then we'll bring that up. I know we brought it up before, but.
Yep. Well, it kind of goes in with it because we have the service, you know, we're questioning the service station in the medical arts district, you know. So
well, I think we're not speculating that someone could do that, but yeah. So I'd be in favor of changing the language? Would you guys be in favor of changing the language to just, or you just want to pause it until we get the medical arts district figured out? Because I'd be in favor of changing the language to allow only along the corridors less than 500 feet. Commissioner Bramer?
Yeah, question for staff. Like, how's the general plan going to affect the medical arts district? Like, would these things be part of the general plan?
The medical arts specific plan that has been proposed but has yet to be funded would impact provisions in this area, because they'd be specific regulations that would be applied just to the medical arts area. So during that public process, these things could be brought up and then vetted through that, as the Planning Commission would get a chance to review that after the medical arts draft plan is put together as the initial public involvement piece.
Is there any chance that we can look at that draft now? That's the draft that's out there?
There's no draft out there. It's an unfunded project.
Okay, I thought it sounded like there was a draft copy. Okay, thank you.
No, they just, you're moving forward with a chosen firm, right? On the general plan?
No, we don't have the funding for the general plan with the COVID-19. The specific plan for the medical arts district was shelved for the moment, meaning that we withdrew the funding that we had committed to that so that we could maintain staffing levels until we know what our finances look like next year, probably.
So, John,
you're doing the housing element, though, I noticed.
The housing element, correct.
Right.
There's a number of grants out there. I was able to leverage enough grants that we can move forward with that.
So, Jonathan, to be clear, there's been nothing written on the specific medical arts plan. There's nothing, no draft or anything.
Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
So we still have the item we're discussing too, so we need to make sure we kind of
Yes.
cover that. I'm not trying to veer away from that stuff. It is good discussion, but are we looking to change the language, or are we looking to table the item? Are we looking to vote for it? I'd like to ask the commissioners, and I'll just go around and ask you guys what you think. Commissioner Bramer, do you have I know you've already put a motion on the table, so.
Yeah, like with my additions, I'm good with it because the medical arts district is still, I guess, so-called a work in progress, I guess, if things need to be decided later on down the road. But right now, let's just add, that language to item C. We'll just clarify the minimum distance between service station sites shall be 500 feet within the medical arts district.
Okay, would you like to amend your motion to say that then? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's my motion. And then adding the and/or to the definition.
Okay. Commissioner Hummus, do you have any comments, concerns, or what do you think about the motion?
A quick question I just had, and with this being my first meeting, is there a designated area that's considered the medical arts district? Because if there's nothing in writing, if there's not a plan in place, how are we going to know what's going to define that when the service station comes in, if we're just putting that in to limit it?
The medical arts district is defined by basically a map and a title, and then there are specific provisions put into the code that reflect reduced requirements in that area to incentivize development.
Okay. Then I'm in favor with Commissioner Bramer's changes, his addition.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Voden, do you have any comments on the?
I'm fine with the motion. I do see, and I hadn't thought about this before until Kelly brought it up, that I do see the medical arts district as really kind of separate from a lot of other parts of the city. And it sounds like if a precedent's been set, it's been set in other areas of the city, I think, and I do think we have to look very closely at that area, for what we want it to look like in the future. So I'm in favor of the motion.
Commissioner Rich Creek?
Yeah, I'm still not in favor of it. Even, I picture like the corridor, more gas stations able to go in. It's just, I don't think it's where we want to go. And like we haven't defined this area, but with the new commissioner, we should get her a copy of the bounce back. And we haven't set these up, but we had a lake district, which is near Ellis Lake. And so I don't want to see more service. I think I'll just leave it at that. I think you guys know my opinion. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I'm reading, so I think we, Bramer, I think you said that it would be, we just add basically, you could have a service station within, it has to be within has to be further than 500 feet from another one in the medical arts district. I believe that's what the motion was. Am I correct in reading that?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So yeah, I think I don't know if I'd go with that one. I'd probably not be against it because I'd still want to keep it to the corridors, and that still allows development in the medical arts district. So that's just my opinion, and that's what I would go with. So.
And I have a question. This would be for Jonathan. If you have this restriction in the medical arts district, the way our code's written for the medical arts district, we just wouldn't have it on the use code list? Because I know we lifted them. They still not, I don't know if I'm not asking it well, but would they go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, the medical arts district, under the footnote there, it does not apply to minor use permits or use permits. However, performance standards, spatial setbacks, things that apply within the zone or things that apply specifically to a service station would apply to those areas within the medical arts district.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor, an updated one. Do we have a second? Yeah,
Didn't I, is that different from the one I already seconded?
yeah, it changed. So I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. If you want to second it.
So why don't we repeat the motion?
Bramer, Commissioner Bramer, you mind repeating it?
Yeah, motion is to have revised definition of service stations to read as retail business establishments supplying motor fuel and or oil. And then with item C, include the language, the minimum distance between service station sites shall be 500 feet within medical arts district.
I will second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Bowden. Any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none. Would like to take a vote on the motion?
Yeah, roll call vote. Commissioner Bramer,
Aye.
Commissioner Rich Creek,
No.
Commissioner Payne is absent. Commissioner Voden,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamas,
Aye.
Vice Chair Belza absent. Chair Deal,
No.
3-2 with 2 absent.
Thank you. We'll move to the item number 8, Commissioner comments. And I'll go around the room again. Commissioner Bramer, do you have any comments?
Yeah, just like to welcome Beth to the commission. I'm hoping your first meeting was a good one.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramer. Oh, you may, Commissioner Hamas, sorry, I cut you off. I saw you in the video trying to hit the microphone. You have any comments?
No, this is a great first meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Voden?
Really nothing other than to say I've been as cautious as anybody through this COVID-19, but I will be looking forward to actually getting back into the chambers and getting off these Zoom meetings. So,
Thank you,
that's about
Commissioner.
it.
Thank you. Commissioner Rich Creek?
Yeah, I just want to thank staff. They're putting so much effort in right now, all they have on their plate, and I just wanted to say thank you. And they're doing such a great job. And also welcome to Beth. But I missed your intro, so hopefully this is taped and I can listen to it again. So I was late getting on.
Thank you, Commissioner Rich Creek.
It's being recorded.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Beth. I hope we didn't scare you away. Appreciate you joining us, and definitely like to thank the staff. I know you guys worked really hard to get us all the documents, and now with your closed, trying to arrange things. So I really appreciate that. I know it's not easy, and just want to thank you for that. I'll move to item 9, which is staff updates. Director Wright.
Okay, thank you. Not a whole lot to update right now. As was noted, a lot of the focus has been on economic development. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit a lot of our businesses. I've been trying to get a lot of time out on the street interacting with business folks and trying to identify their needs. We were successful in acquiring a grant from SACOG, which was originally going to be our downtown turnaround grant, in which we were going to work with 2 more businesses to redesign their storefronts for marketing purposes as well as community aesthetics. That funding did not seem reasonable given the timing right now or that project. So those funds were repurposed into a COVID-19 playbook that we'll still be doing 2 overhauls of local businesses downtown, but it'll be to market materials with the spin of COVID-19, trying to keep merchandise so that people are less apt to handle it, but making it more available so people are more apt to buy it. Working with local restaurants that right now, because of the social distancing requirement, have lost more than half of their seating capacity, and trying to figure out a way that we bring that capacity back so they can actually continue to make money and survive as business owners within our community. At the same time, I'm authoring a CDBG grant. This was given the go-ahead from council last night. The ask is going to be $450,000. I don't know where we're going to land on that, but it's going to fund 3 programs. One is another one that we can pay off high interest credit cards for business owners while they've been accruing the credit card debt during the closure, or as the startup has been slow and they're still relying heavily on credit. We might be able to refinance some of that credit. That would be in partnership with the Yuba Sutter Economic Development Corporation. One of the other 2 aspects is going to be what I'm calling a facade maintenance program, which is cleverly disguised as a facade improvement program. During this time and over the next year, merchants and business owners or property owners are not going to have money to invest in their businesses. So we're going to try to help out and supplement some of those costs and try to encourage people to continue to invest in structures downtown. Some of you may have noticed that during the closure, there was some vandalism that occurred downtown there. So some of those businesses are damaged and need assistance getting back on their feet. So that's the second component. The last one is a business sponsorship fund in which we would be able to offset regular city fees for business licenses and so forth, and be able to reimburse business owners for PPE expenses as long as those expenses are cleared with us prior to the individual making the purchase. So those are 3 programs we're trying to roll out to offset the cost to the businesses. Try to do everything we possibly can to support our business community, because they're the lifeblood of what is Marysville. And we work so hard on economic development. There's been a lot of things great said about this community over the past few years as things have started to improve. And the last thing I want to do is lose momentum. So we're really trying everything we can to continue to support businesses, as well as trying to find new ways to develop residential housing in this community. So that's it.
Thank you, Director Wright. That's great work you guys are doing. I did want to ask one question. If there's anything we can do for, I know people are looking at outdoor seating. If there's any, it's been a while since I read the code on that section, but if we can help in any way to help these businesses out, changing code or working on code or reviewing it.
That's a great point. One of the things we've been looking at is, of course, we look at models from other communities. Some communities are doing a temporary ordinance waiving outdoor seating requirements or outdoor permitting requirements, such as encroachment permits and so forth, to use public rights of way for commercial spaces, ancillary to businesses. We're looking at that right now. That would probably be an emergency ordinance, trying to get this through so that businesses could have that as readily as possible. I appreciate the offer for assistance. Because it's temporary and emergency in nature, it probably will not be able to, we probably will not have the luxury of time to review it by this body. But you're thinking along the same lines we are, and that's exactly where we're heading.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no need to slow it down if we need to give people help. Okay, I appreciate it. I guess we will adjourn. See you guys next month. I don't have a gavel.
Thank you, Ben.
Ben, can you hit the
You're doing a
gavel?
good job.
Thank you.
Hey guys, can I ask a quick question?